All right, cool. Here we go. And we are off.
We ready right now.
Lead that.
All I know is this violates every canon of respectable broadcasting.
How are you?
Hey, who wants to help me get this recorder out of here? I need some muscle over here.
You are listening to Blame Your Brother.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, everyone, to Blame Your Brother. We are back on Thursday night, 8 p.m., streaming the show live right now on YouTube. So if you've never done that before, come hang out with us Thursday night, 8 p.m. Come watch the magic and the chaos just happen in real time. But yes, we're here. Special guest tonight. We'll get to that in just a second. There are two of us that make up Blame Your Brother. I'm one half of this duo. I am David, a.k.a. D. Brew, Glenn Jackson, the spiritual midget, Mr. Wonderful. And this gentleman sitting over to my right, it is John.
Hey everybody, John here, a.k.a. Tico, a.k.a. Mr. Groupon, Mr. PTI, the Madman.
They got John Tortorella, a madman. They do. Okay, he's a madman.
Okay, so our special guest, she's on the screen now. It is a very hilarious, I would say content creator, but I know that may be cringy, but it's what she is. Comedian, writer, mother, all kinds of great things. It is Kelly Bandas. Kelly, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys. I'm thrilled to be here, rescheduled, I think, after 2 years.
Yes, that is true because we were going to have you on right before COVID hit, I believe. And yeah, no, here we are. We were excited about that because, okay, so we'll break down just, if people don't know, Kelly has put out a book, or it's going to be coming out. I've pre-ordered mine. It comes out next week. I'm excited to read it. I read some of the first chapter today, listened to the audio that you can get exclusive content if you pre-order it right now. But it's called Rookie Mistakes. I'm liking what I'm reading, so we're definitely going to talk to you about that. But we met you through our friends that used to do Bring Dad a Beer podcast.
Yes,
Yeah, Kent Peterson. And he suggested like a long time ago, he's like, you need to get her on. I'm like, all right, cool, let's do it. And here we are 2 years later. So, it all comes around. So, all right, well, I'm David. This is John. I don't know if you ever met John before, but he's our resident madman of the show. Yeah. And but yeah, so let's talk about you first, because I always like to get kind of people's background, like where are you from? How did you end up here in Nashville, the Franklin area?
Well, I'm originally from Boston, or just a little bit outside of Boston. Ended up here. I got a wild hair after college. I thought maybe I'd move to Nashville. Maybe I'd snag myself a country music husband, and all of that worked out, actually. So I just like to put things out into the universe, and sometimes they happen. But yeah, I've been here like 15 years now. So I didn't come in with this new wave of folks. Okay. I've been here a little while.
So you're not quite me. I'm native. John
yes.
John is essentially native. I mean, he's been here for 30 plus years now.
Yeah.
But yes, but you're part of like the first gen. Like my wife and my brother-in-law and their entire family, of course, all came in from Michigan, kind of in that, first wave as well. So, and that I was going to ask you, because I'm a huge Tom Brady fan, like way too big of a fan, truthfully. But, and I've always noticed you wear a lot of the New England gear when you do your videos and things like that. So do you think he's the greatest thing that's ever lived, or what are your thoughts on him?
I mean, I did until like 2 years ago, and I'm a little burnt now. We love Tom Brady in our house. We still celebrate all the Tom Brady themed holidays.
Okay.
And we're still big fans.
Okay.
But we're a little sore, but we got over it.
I hear you. I mean, sometimes relationships don't last forever. You have to move on. But yeah, I mean, I have this shirt that John just loves. It's Tom Brady. There's like 100 Tom Brady's on it, and I wear it for big occasions. I love it. So yes. All right. So you came here. You got to this area here we live in. What were you kind of doing? Because I just recently got into TikTok in the last couple months. I've kind of started to get a following, and I'm like, oh, I've got 20,000 followers. I'm a big deal. And then I was like, oh, Kelly's got like 160 something plus thousand followers. How did you start out getting into Instagram, TikTok? Because I know you'd had a blog before that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Way back when blogs were things. I got into it, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, starting to make like the content creation for Instagram, doing funny videos, sort of out of necessity, working a more traditional 9-to-5 job, and needed a creative outlet. So sort of created a job that I call stay-at-home comedian, because I have horrible stage fright. And so I'm allowed to just be in my house with no live audience, create my sketches. The TikTok thing is relatively new because TikTok's relatively new. And I somehow created this character that people really latched onto, which is this horrible, awful 90s teenage girl. And so I think people our age kind of remember that girl that sucked and wouldn't let us sit with them at lunch.
Right.
And so people really have latched onto that. I think they love to hate me, which I'm fine with.
Right. I was talking to John literally before the show started. I said the key to really gaining traction on TikTok is to get haters that constantly come on your videos and just, you're like, you can follow me, but they just comment on every video and they're not a follower. And you're like, this is very weird, but I will take it. So, so I got many questions about that. So, okay. So you did the blog, you jumped into content creating. Like, was there a moment where, cause you do a lot of outfit changes. I don't do as many as you, but I do some. And there was a moment where I was like, I was in my kid's room going, I need as many Nerf guns as you can give me. And I need this and this and this. And I just thought, this is where my life is now. This is what I'm doing with my life. Did you have a moment like that where you were like filming something and you're just like, okay, yeah, this is it?
100%. I mean, almost every video I do, I'm in my 11-year-old's room rifling through his stuff, and he's like, "Mom, get out of here! You're stretching it all out." And for a lot of my videos, I draw on jewelry. For my TikTok videos, I use a dry erase marker and I draw on like one of those 90s chokers. Right. And I often think like, I have a graduate degree. I have a master's degree. This is my job. But I love it, and it's a blast, and I'm really thankful that I get to do it. But it is a little like, what is life that this is what I'm doing? But it all works out.
For sure. Okay. So so have you been out? Have you been recognized yet by any strangers? I mean,
occasionally I do get recognized, and it's usually like a Gen Z kid, which gives me a lot of cred with my own children. And they're always like, oh, I follow, it's usually TikTok people, and they follow me for my, 90s teenage girl thing. My husband thinks it's the most hilarious thing when I get recognized.
So have you, because I've got so many questions. I was thinking about this like for the whole week. Because I just say this because this week my wife sent me a screenshot of some text message her friend had sent her. And it was from another friend, and their husband was like, "Hey, is this," my wife's name is Casey. She's like, "Is this Casey's husband?" Because my husband is like a huge fan. And I was like, "What?" I was like, "This is bizarre." But how subconscious would you film, or have you filmed any of your videos out in the public where people are around? Or are you still kind of like, no, I'm not doing that?
No, I'm far too scared of like influencers gone wild getting a video of me and posting. No, I don't do any of those kind of dances or anything. No, right. I am so self-conscious. I'm a huge introvert. So everything I do is in private, behind a locked door. So no, I haven't ventured out. I need to like put on my big girl pants and go out and do things in the wild, but I haven't.
No, I'm with you. I've said that before to a coworker. I don't, because I don't really tell a lot of people like I know, like, hey, I'm doing this thing on TikTok. We barely tell people about the podcast. So I mean, but so when you do tell someone, I'm just like, I don't know how people do it, but I've done a couple of times, and I'm still kind of like, oh, I feel like kind of an idiot, truthfully. So,
but I feel like a little piece of me feels like, well, we just need to own it because this is what we're doing, right. And well, I don't understand why we're ashamed of it, but I think a little bit of it might be our age.
Yes, for sure.
And I don't know how to describe, like if you're going to tell someone that you're on TikTok, I don't know what to call that necessarily. Like you said, content creator. I don't know. I'm still getting used to it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, it's always entertaining. So do you just think of ideas? Like I was kind of what I enjoyed today, and I will tell people to go pre-order the book because what was included in that was some commentary on your videos. Yes. I love that so much. I watched that twice because I was like, I need a whole series of this, honestly, because any video I watch, I'm always like, what is the technique? What is the thought process here? And yours was fantastic. So people, you need to go pre-order the book, but how do you come up with ideas? Like, are you like often sitting around like, do you have a goal? Like, I need to put out a video a day. Do I need to do this? Or do you have anything like that?
Man, I wish that there was a method to my madness. It's a very long notes thing in the notes app of my phone. When I think of ideas, I put them in there. I used to be really good. I went through the Upright Citizens Brigade comedy school for sketch writing. And I used to be really great about sitting down at my computer and writing scripts. And then life happens, kids happen, summer happens. And so most of what I do is just straight improv. And so it's, you know, when the mood strikes, when I get an idea, I try and just, you know, fire off as many videos as I can. I know that there are other people that have really great methodical ways that they get content out. And one day I will be one of those people. Right now, it's sort of just striking while the iron's hot.
There you go. Well, Upright Citizens Brigade, talk about that experience. When was that? Is there anybody we knew in the class that you were in? I mean, how intimidating was that?
It was so intimidating. It was during COVID, and one of the, you know, good things that came out of COVID was everything went virtual, right? So I didn't have to fly to New York or LA to be in these classes. So we did all these virtual classes. No, I mean, it was all people like me just trying to learn. So no one, I mean, they were all fantastic, but no recognizable names. But it was an insanely amazing experience. I used to watch Upright Citizens Brigade as a kid on Comedy Central in the summertime. And so just to be able to go through their program and come out of it, I felt like it was, you know, just like a little Girl Scout badge on my sash to be able to say I did that. Oh,
1,000%. I mean, me and John back in the late 90s had like a community access show, which was, I mean, it was all improv. I mean, we're just lazy.
We would set up a scenario and then, I mean, no script or nothing. We were like, okay, this is the start of it and we'll just see where it goes.
Oh,
and that's
awesome.
what it was.
Right. But to do that, to say I went to that class and attend that, I'm like really jealous of that. That's amazing. And you know, I'm sure it helps with your comedy as well, but still that's like you said, I'm like you. I like to do things in life necessarily just to say I've done them, you know, like I did this or I did that or whatnot. So, okay. So you grew up in the 90s like us, you're a Gen Zer, and that's a lot of your content, but also a lot of your content is kind of poking fun at kind of pop culture and some of the shows. So what are some of your favorite shows that really just give you inspiration for your videos?
Oh my God. I mean, nothing that you guys watch probably. I'm a huge reality TV junkie.
Okay.
So the entire Bravo canon.
Right.
Any of the new wave Netflix reality stuff like Love is Blind, Selling Sunset, all of that. But then I am a glutton for things like 90s sitcoms, like tons of Seinfeld, Frasier. I don't know. That really dates me. I love Frasier.
We love
Frasier?
Yes, of course we do. Yeah. Anyone our age does. Yeah.
So a lot of that like observational humor commentary that sort of like originated in the 90s, but then projected onto more like pop culture-y stuff, Kardashian culture up today.
Now, I'm going to ask you, I saw this on Netflix. I don't watch those shows. I'm very familiar with them, though. As I'm a pop culture aficionado, so I'm familiar with all of the world. I just don't necessarily partake in it, but I can talk about it. The one I saw on Netflix the other day, it is the wildest show. I couldn't even believe. I thought it was like a mockumentary, but apparently it's real. It's called like something Generation Snowflake or Snowflake Island or something. And they get these content creators that are like millennials, and they put them on this island. You've got to go find it. You would have content for days for this.
Man,
it is like, it's like they've never been outside. This is the premise, you know, like they've never been outside. They don't know how anything outside works. And it's just like the most, if you just drew a stereotype of what like a Gen Z was like, it would be this entire island. So it's something.
Oh my God.
Something.
I thought you were going to say the new show that they keep populating to my feed, which is like How to Build a Sex Room. That's the new show and it pops up and it just, Netflix is so presumptuous. They just start playing trailers.
Right.
No matter what it is. Yeah. And so my kids are in the room and they're, you know, that's like, oh my God. But they're really pushing that hard.
So I've noticed that me and my wife have different profiles, and it could not be further apart. It's day to night. Like her shows are popping up. I go, what is this world of Netflix? Like, what are these shows? Like she was like that Rebel Wilson show movie that came out.
Oh yeah.
I was like, is that real? Like, that's a real thing. And then mine is just literally just the darkest, like, it's indie crap. Like, it's, you know, like, this guy murdered 14 people in 2 days. Here's a documentary about it. So, yeah, but the trailer stuff is, I don't know. It's annoying until you want it to play, because I'll go like the Amazon Prime. A lot of time they don't. I'm like, oh, I really wish that trailer was playing right now. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
You know, that's kind of how life is. Okay, so let's talk about you. So you're a parent, and one of the thing, like, I mean, like I said, I followed you for a while. You don't really know when you're following someone, you know, kind of following people passively, but you see their content all the time, and you don't know them, but you kind of feel like you know who they are to a large degree. And so you've got 2 boys that are yours, but then you also adopted a child. And like, I was like there to the entire it was like, it's hard to explain, but talk about doing that and just the process of that, and then everything, you know, because he I don't know what his thing is. I mean, is he deaf completely or partially? But I know you had to do some ASL as well, right?
Yes, yeah. So we have 3 boys, 2 biological and 1 by adoption, our youngest. And he is culturally deaf,
Okay.
and medically he's hard of hearing. So he has a little bit of hearing, but primarily our family communicates. It's called SIMCOM. You talk and sign at the same time.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, my brain is going to explode, because basically speaking 2 languages all the time. But he is awesome. He's about to be 7. And we adopted him right before his 4th birthday from the Philippines. And it was a really super long process, start to finish, between 3 and 4 years.
Wow.
So we were matched with him when he was 1.5.
Wow.
And then he didn't come home till he was almost 4. So I think anyone who has walked through adoption will tell you it is a hellacious process. And you know, I would do it again 1,000,000 times to have him be a part of our family, but it was very, very difficult, but completely worth it. He's amazing. And he and my other 2 sons are at, it's called Deaf Camp right now.
Okay.
And they all got to go to Beach Bend Park up in Kentucky today. And just, you know, we got some videos from their camp counselors of them doing the water slides and stuff. And it's just, you know, when I look at 3 years ago when he first came home to now, it's just amazing. He's signing with his friends fluently, and it's so super cool to watch.
I mean, it's wild. I've just got a couple of actually friends that have been trying to adopt for a couple of years, and they started, it was supposed to be a child in China, and they started at the beginning of COVID before it happened, and then that just kind of shut the entire process down. And so they're still kind of involved, but it's been like a couple of years now, and maybe a couple more. So I don't know directly, but I have friends have gone through it. So I mean, God bless all those people that do that. That's what I'm saying. So
yeah, I know we've had friends that were in process with China as well, and it's so anyone who is in process, whether you're biologically trying to have children or, you know, it's the waiting is so hard. It's so hard.
Right.
So my heart goes out to them.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the book then. Rookie Mistakes. When do you decide, hey, you know what I need to do? I got these kids, I've got this content I'm creating, I've got the house, I've got everything. Let me write a book in between it. Like, what is the moment where you decide to do this?
Man, I know it does sound really insane when you put it like that. Gosh, I started writing it probably about 4 years ago, sort of just for myself, as like a brain dump. We were waiting for CJ to come home, and I just kind of, you know, you start things, you don't ever really think they're going to turn into anything. Just, I'm going to do this. I'm going to just start writing some essays. And I was connected with an agent a couple of years ago, and she kind of helped me flesh it out a little bit more. And it's a super long process, and I'd always really wanted to write a book. And so now this big thing that I've wanted for a really long time is about to happen, and I have so many feelings about it. It feels very strange for this like dream to be realized. But it's something I've wanted for a really, really long time, and never really thought I would get to do. So I feel insanely grateful that it's, you know, coming down the pike next week. And I would love to do it again, even though it's tearing up my emotions on the inside. I would do it all over again.
Right. So I like I said, I read the first chapter, and I know it's one I'm going to read like quickly. Once I get into a book and I'm going to read it. And I really love the first chapter explaining, and I'll let you explain it because you obviously wrote it. You could do a better job than me, but just the title itself, I thought that was, I've never heard anybody describe like rookie mistakes the way you described it is how it kind of defines the book. But what does that title mean and how it's like kind of philosophy for your life?
Yeah. So this will come up later in the book, but a lifetime ago, I worked for the Boston Red Sox. So there's I talk a lot about that and talk a lot about baseball in the book. But the idea of a rookie mistakes is this is, no matter how old you are, this is everybody's first try at being a person. Like I'm 37, this is my first time doing it. So I'm gonna make mistakes for the rest of my life. And it's about using those mistakes as a way to build connection with other people rather than feeling shame about them. And once you build that connection, kind of using that as a fresh starting line so you can learn better and do better and move forward rather than sort of ruminating on the past. And yeah, just tying that in with my career in baseball, it felt very apropos to use the phrase rookie mistake. Just, I don't know, I feel like I've made more mistakes than most. So it just felt like it fit.
Right. But I'm sure most people think that, right? I mean, like, because, you don't really think of that as you're going through life. You don't really think, hey, like I'm doing all of this for the first time. I think as a parent all the time, like this is it. Like, I mean, I've got 3 kids and once I'm done, I mean, that's done, like I don't get do-overs with another set of 3 kids. So like, it's just, it's the way it is.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about your baseball. Now, John here is from Baltimore and he's a big Baltimore Orioles fan. So he's shaking his head.
Sorry.
He should be. He's shaking his head over here about the Boston thing. But how did you get involved? Well, let's talk about, you said you have a degree. What did you go to college for?
So my undergraduate degree is in journalism.
Okay.
My master's degree is in speech and hearing sciences. So I'm a speech pathologist by trade.
Okay.
Not practicing at the moment, but yeah, I went to Boston University, and during then I was working for the Red Sox. I worked for them from 2002 to 2008.
Wow. Okay. So what were you doing? Like tell us who was cool. Maybe who was, I don't know if you'll say who was not, but I loved during that time period. Here's why I liked Boston. I know people go, oh yeah, David, you like Tom Brady, you like Boston. I mean, yeah, I wish I was from Boston and not from here, but that's another point. But I'll say this. I hate the Yankees with so much passion. I hate them so much. I was like, what team can beat the almighty Yankees? I'm going all in on that team. So during those years, I was like, Boston's like my team. I would wear Boston hats. I was out. I was getting crap from people. But anyway, what did you do at Boston, and who did you meet that kind of stands out, if anybody?
Oh my gosh. I mean, that was a crazy time because that was when we won our first World Series in 86 years. So it was like the best time to be working for them. I worked in the front office in the PR department.
Okay.
I was one of the youngest people working there. I got hired when I was almost 17. And the more exciting part of the story is that during the games, I was also a college softball player.
Okay.
So during the games, I was a ball girl for the team. So I would wear a full uniform, sit on the sidelines, and field foul balls that came my way. Some of them were slow, some of them were not. And I had made a couple of great catches. And I also got hit in the face by Ken Griffey Jr.
Oh.
Not physically, with a ball.
Right. Yes, we get it.
And he was lovely.
It'd be a completely different story.
You would have heard about that, I'm sure. I think he ended up striking out, but anyway, he left the game, came out to see if I was all right. He was lovely. But it was very dangerous. I can't believe I was even allowed to do that. These days, the people that sit on the sidelines have to wear helmets.
Right.
And I was 20, 21 doing this. We would go out after games. There was definitely day games where I fell asleep on the sidelines.
Wow. And
could have died. But it was, I mean, I couldn't ask for a better college job than that. So it was a super fun experience. And I will say, like, the environment on the field was great. I would tell you if someone was a jerk, but nobody was. Right. Everyone was nice. It was a good time. The team was winning. There was like a good vibe around the stadium. Some of the players like that are still in the league today, like Gabe Kapler, who's the coach of the San Francisco Giants, was a really great guy then and now. David Ortiz was awesome. It was sort of, a really small family. So sometimes in ball clubs, they'll have something called a family room where the players can bring their kids if they're in town or wanting to watch the game. And so we would sometimes take turns going in and playing with the players' kids just to entertain them during the games. And they were, they're parents. So they're really nice and appreciative that we're hanging out with their children. And, I don't have anything bad to say about
Well, that's
any
good.
of them.
No, that's good. I mean, so
Yeah.
who is your favorite Boston player then of all time, baseball wise?
All time, Nomar Garciaparra.
Okay.
He was my absolute favorite. While I was there, I was a huge Jason Varitek fan. He's the catcher. I was a catcher.
There you go.
But yeah, it was a really very, very cool time to be involved with the team.
So what happened? So you played college ball. Like, how were you good? Like, how would you rank yourself?
I was like a very good, like B-.
Okay, well that's
not bad, not great.
I think B- is better than not good, not bad. You're describing like a C-. So yeah, so catcher. Okay, well that's so you've lived quite a life. I mean, we're just getting into the good stuff here. Okay.
I know it feels weird. I feel like I'm 37, but I've lived 5 or 6 lives already. But they're good stories.
So we like to ask this to people. And we always get different answers. Always curious to say, but if a reality show came to you and they're like, "Hey, we want to," I mean, you have everything for it. So I mean, you've got a great family. You've got your husband, we'll talk about him in a second, into music. You got you. If they were like, "Yo, we want to film this show," would you be like, "No, hard pass," or maybe?
That's a hard pass for me.
Oh wow, okay.
I love reality TV for a reason.
Right.
And I can't be a part of it. The chaos of it all is so fun to watch, but I can't imagine that it's very fun to live. I would go on like a reality competition show though,
okay.
like a Nailed It, like Bake Off thing or something fun like that. But having cameras in my house before I've had my coffee, when I'm trying to go to the bathroom, I am not about that life.
I've thought about the bathroom thing like forever because like in the early episodes of Real World, the bathroom was like where you could go where there were no cameras.
Right.
And then like somewhere in the season, I don't know, maybe it was where the Miz was. What area was that? San Francisco or what? They were just like, "No, bro, there's cameras everywhere in this house, no matter where." I'm like, I'm out. Like that's bizarre. I don't know. I don't. So we're dating ourselves with the Real World references.
Yeah.
So there you go. If that makes you feel any better. Okay, so we got the book. Let's focus on the book a little bit. So the first chapter I was reading, and I kind of glimpsed through some of the outlines later, but talks about how when you were growing up, you were, I'll say not skinny kid. I don't know what the proper term would be, but you were a kid that liked to eat, and you put on a few pounds, and that kind of led into some different things in your life. How easy was it to talk about that, to write it down, and then to put it out? Have you been like kind of open about your eating disorder situation?
Man, I've never really talked about it until now.
Really?
I grew up Catholic, and so I'm a really private person. Everything's fine. We don't talk about that.
Right.
And it wasn't until I kind of got into this process that I've shared it more publicly. And I think that it's been cathartic. And I've had a lot of people who've read a little bit of the book already or have seen some stuff I've been posting on social media reach out and be like, "Oh, that was my life. That exactly happened to me. And thank you for sharing it." And I think when other people talk about it, it's sort of destigmatized, and then we can all be a little bit more open about it. But it's always kind of painful to reopen old wounds. You know, it's not like I try to make it fun in the book and funny and light. But it is painful. And, you know, if I could go back and talk to that little girl, I think, you know, that would feel really healing. But yeah, I hope that I hope that if anyone else has kind of walked through that they can kind of see themselves in the pages and, you know, see that you can get to the other side of it. I'm 3 years in recovery now, so I'm very proud of that.
Wow. Well, congratulations on that. That's quite amazing. And it's something, I mean, especially like our generation, that was just something no one talked about it, you know, and it's obviously when you look back at certain people, you're like, oh yeah, probably so, you know, like, cause there was such a stigma with the 90s time period, with the Victoria's Secret, you had the Von Dutch, you had all these crazy just body images that were just not realistic. You know, I mean,
Oh yeah.
and
I remember going to the mall and not buying anything, but just going into Abercrombie and getting their bags and like wallpapering my room with it, just with these completely unrealistic human beings that I'm waking up in the morning and that's the first thing I see. And it's not healthy.
no, not at all. So, well, hopefully people can read that and know that. And I think we're getting better as, you know, as we get older and the generations kind of talk about mental health and getting help and things like that. But still, sometimes it is reading a book, you know, and just saying, oh, there's someone out there like me. Maybe I follow them. And so it's a powerful message to put out there. So what else, is in the book that just gives some like teasers or some outlines of what some other topics you address in the book?
Yeah, I talk a lot about my experience working with the Red Sox. I talk a lot about oversharing online, which I think is something we're kind of all learning about. When we were first adopting CJ, I shared everything. I was very open about it. And it wasn't until I really met him in the flesh that I was like, oh, this was not my story to tell. This is your story. And just sort of reflecting on how we were kind of the first generation of parents to have social media. And, you know, I think a lot of us put our kids on there, and, you know, every family's different and everyone can do what they want, but kind of exploring how I overshared stuff that wasn't really mine to share. So I talk a lot about that in the book. And I talk a lot about, you know, and this might be kind of too soon, but I talk a lot about pandemic parenting and what that was like and living through that and explaining tragedies in real time to kids and, you know, stuff that you aren't even ready to process as an adult and then having to parent through that. So I talk a lot about that as well.
Yeah, no, I think it's the perfect time to talk about it because people are writing about it now, you know, and it's going to be something we're going to look back years at. Our kids are going to have very vivid memories. It'd be some of their first memories for a lot of kids, you know, like being out of school, doing school on Zoom for like a couple of months and just everyone going out, or if you ever even went out, you know, no one's around. And it's definitely, it's something that we're going to look back as we get further back and go, ooh, that was very bizarre. But, you know, as you're living through things, sometimes it's a little bit easier to process things. So
were your kids exclusively on Zoom for a period of time, or did you guys have the option?
No, so I mean everyone was at Zoom for a while, and then they kind of opened it back up, and I just felt my kids were not doing so good with Zoom. You know, it's you know, because my kids are 14 and 12, so and at the time they, you know, 2 years ago, so they had been so accustomed to, you know, learning in person. I would imagine for some of the younger kids, it might have been a little bit easier if they weren't so invested in it. But yeah, for a while, I mean, the entire school was shut down. Probably for, I mean, it's like
about
I said,
a year and a half.
Yeah, about a year. It's crazy to even think about it, you know.
I know.
And that was
so crazy.
Yeah, I know. And there, you know, there were some good things that came out of it. There's a lot of bad things that came out of it, obviously. But for me, I look back, you know, if all the people hadn't died, if it hadn't just structured down society, it was a way that I felt closer to my family, my direct family, you know, because we were forced to, you know, be in the same place at the same time. And I got to work from home and I stopped driving to work. So, you know, there were some positives about it. But like I say, in the long run, it was definitely terrible, you know, and hopefully we don't go back there. But yeah, I mean, it's weird. It's weird to think about it. I mean, even living through it, I was just like, this is bizarre. This doesn't feel real, you know, but.
Yeah, I know it feels like more so in the last, you know, 2 or 3 years. And I don't know if it's because I've consumed more news in the last 2 or 3 years before I did then. But I feel like, and I talk about this in the book, that every week it's something that we have to explain to our kids. That's, you know, I guess maybe it was like last summer there was no gas and my kids wanted to know, why is there no gas? And I just felt like, and this is a white privilege thing because I'm having to explain things that other people don't get to decide what they explain. But I'm like, I can't explain one more tragedy to my kids. It's like every single week, not that, you know, no gas is a tragedy, but it felt like it was just piling on and on and on.
Yeah.
And I'm not equipped. I'm not a therapist. I don't know how to have these hard conversations all the time. So I think a lot of people feel that way. I don't know how to have all these kinds of conversations.
I mean, for sure. I've definitely noticed in the last, like you say, it has been the last 2 or 3 years. I mean, once again, history is going to write about it at some point and realize something happened. And, we obviously talk about the show a lot, what we think it was, but I've definitely had to talk to my kids more about, like you say, society, culture, politics, all these things that they're hearing about at school from their friends, and they're coming back. And I mean, I it's a very open secret to me, but I lean very progressive. So like, some of the things they come home and tell me, I'm like, oh no, hold on. We need to sit down and have a talk about that. That's not good. You don't do that. But, and maybe that's just what they're going to get used to. But lately things they seem pretty crazy. I mean, just, that's all you can say. I mean, you have just school shooting after school shooting, which as a parent, it's terrifying.
Scary. Yeah.
You know, that you can't even, it's like, it never used to really hit me. And now lately it has been like, I'm like, wow, it's crazy, so I don't know. I mean, hopefully there's hope. You're always hoping that things get better and things improve, but
yeah, to your point, it is sort of like you have to catch them before they hear it somewhere else. So you almost have to be primed and ready to have the conversation before you've even had time to process through it, because you don't know what they're going to hear at school the next day. And that's like, you kind of feel like you've always got your breath caught in your throat. When's the next thing going to come up?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely time. So somebody in the chat named Aaron David Thomas said Kelly is a genius. So there you go. You got that going for you.
All right. Hi, Aaron.
So now you grew up in the 90s. We've got to test you. I mean, we love music. We love music. So who are some of your favorite? Now, hold on. Before you answer, John, I want to ask John, who do you think would be maybe one of her favorite artists? If you just based on
what we've
based
know
on the
so
aura,
far.
you know nothing about her. You don't even know much about her. But who would you say? I mean, she loves Frasier. So
I would say Matchbox 20 and Foo Fighters.
Okay.
Ooh, I'm honestly flattered by that.
Okay, so we're going to talk about your husband after you give this answer. So don't name him, but I'm sure he's. But who's your 90s bands that you love?
So I did love some Matchbox 20.
Okay.
Foo Fighters I have come to appreciate as I've gotten older, but I mean, I was straight up Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Boys to Men, all of that pop delicious goodness of the 90s, Janet Jackson, all that stuff. But I did like Rob Thomas, Matchbox 20.
Yeah. Well, you're looking at two people that I'm unabashedly, I will tell anyone, do I like NSYNC? You're right, I do. When I go out and do karaoke, do I NSYNC? Yes, I do. Do I do Backstreet Boys? Yes, I do. Do I love all the female pop of the 90s? Yes, I do. I thought it was fantastic. But I also love like hipster stuff and indie stuff, so I'm probably not a good comparison. Well, that's okay. So you said you came here. You said, I'm going to marry a country music star. And I'm just gonna,
I was manifesting before manifesting was cool.
Well, tell us about your husband. Tell us about his band, because I've heard good things about him.
Yes. So Brian's amazing. He is no longer in the music world, but when we met, he was in a band called Love and Theft, and they are still together. Eric Gunderson, Stephen Barker-Lyles, they're still out there without Brian, because I yokoed their band very accidentally.
Nice.
But yeah, we met when they were just putting out their first album called World Wide Open. They were touring with Taylor Swift. Then they went on the road, Jason Aldean, Tim McGraw. So he got to do the whole big country star thing, and it was very fun and very, very cool. I think he would probably tell you that he's very glad it's over.
Really?
Yeah, it is. I mean, you guys probably have talked to a million musicians, but it is a massive grind. And it's not all big arenas. It's a lot of, sleeping on buses and, labels shut down unexpectedly. Artists don't get paid near what they should. Right. And we missed him a lot of the time. He was gone. So when we had our second son, he officially came off the road and, started, now he builds homes.
Okay.
So he started doing that.
Wow. So what did he play?
He played keys and guitar and was one of the main vocalists.
Wow, look at that. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he can play anything. He could pick up a trumpet.
Really?
He could play a bass. I mean, he's a musical genius.
There you go. Well, we were not on that level of fame, but me and John were in a band for many years. We played locally, and we did not sleep on buses, but we did sleep in U-Haul vans occasionally. But yeah, so no, I understand. Yes, and I have some musician friends. We talked to them. Yeah, if you have a family, it is rough. It's if you're by yourself and you got nothing to lose, who cares? But yeah, I could see. I don't know if I'm with him. I don't think I could do it once the family got involved. You're just missing too much, but I don't know. John says he's one of the three best vocalists in Nashville. So he might, I don't know, maybe him and your husband will have a vocal off one day. We'll see.
Maybe.
I think he'll have to meet for some in-sync karaoke.
Yeah,
that's what I'm hearing.
I'm down with it. So, okay. So we chronicled the TikTok career. We chronicled the Boston baseball career, which is wild, and just coming up in this thing here. You've written the book. So what do you want to see happen with the book? Like, do you have realistic goals? I mean, is it just more about you want people to share it? Or do you have any hard line goals for it? Because I mean, it's your first time doing it. You're a rookie at it. So what is your vision for it?
I mean, my main goal is to be able to write another book. So I want it to reach enough people and for people to like it enough and maybe become a New York Times bestseller. Just putting that out into the universe.
Okay.
If we're going to dream, let's dream big. That would be a huge goal that I would love to do mostly. But the main thing is I would love to do it again. It was a really, really fun, creative pursuit. And, I would do anything to be able to do it again. So if I can sell enough to do that, I will be very happy.
Nice. Well, what advice do you have people if they want to write? Like someone out there is listening, I'm sure, or someone will be, that it's like, hey, I want to write. And like, I've never been one to write like that. Like, so what are some just pieces of advice you have for someone? What are some things that helped you kind of get through the process?
The very first thing I did when I decided to write a book is I talked to a friend who had written one and got some really good advice. And the biggest piece I took away from it was, she said, make sure you have a through line. So you need to have something that you're really passionate about that you can weave through your entire story. If you're writing nonfiction, I guess fiction too. And then get a big bulletin board with lots of Post-it notes and go very CSI on your book outline and just make sure that you have a way to navigate your through line from beginning to end. And I found that to be a really, really helpful tool. And if you're a person who's, never written anything long form like this before, start small, set really realistic small goals for how much you want to write each day, even if it's, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, because small goals are achievable goals. And I think the more you get into a habit of it, the easier it becomes. So if you're someone who's thinking, I don't know, maybe I might want to write a book, see if you can write for 5 to 7 minutes every morning, and it will gradually grow as you kind of work that muscle.
There you go. I think that's great advice. I mean, like I've heard a lot of people just say just write every day, but that helps as well. I think sometimes the crazy board thing helps for sure. I mean, I probably need to manifest some more energy like that in my life. It's I guess like a spirit board or whatever. I don't know. I've never had one, but all right, now I don't know. I'm going to ask you because we got a couple messages, but is there a celebrity people are like, hey, you look like insert person here? Who do you get anybody?
When I was younger, people used to tell me I look like Keira Knightley.
Boom, that's it. Yeah.
Well, is it my husband saying that in the chat?
No, not that. No, this was like during the week. No, people are like, hey, she kind of looks like Keira Knightley. So
funny.
You don't see that?
I used to see it. I can't see it as much anymore now that I'm in my late 30s, but I did used to hear that all the time.
Okay. So what we like to do on the show, as we kind of start to wrap it up a little bit, we generally do a Mount Rushmore every week, and we usually come with a list, and me and John try to pick different ones, and it's this fun little pop culture thing. Like I don't know, what's some lists we've done, John? Like Mount Rushmore of best 90s bands or whatever, So you love the 90s, so we're just going to do this all together. What would be the Mount Rushmore of 90s sitcoms? If you had to put the 4 defining sitcoms of the 90s, I mean, you've already named one that I would have, but I'm not going to influence your list here. I don't need to do that. Who would be on your Mount Rushmore of 90s sitcoms?
Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, we have to put Seinfeld on.
Yeah,
there.
of course. Yeah,
That's very important.
Yeah, for sure. So we can talk through this. So
Okay.
when I think 90s sitcoms, John, what are some things that come up for you? Like when you think
I mean, Friends obviously would come up.
it's trash, but yeah, it definitely comes up.
I mean, it was prominent during the that time. I mean, nothing.
I mean,
Seinfeld.
well, I mean, yeah, Matchbox. I mean, not Matchbox 20. God, I've run it down. Nickelback's prominent. That doesn't mean they're good, but anyways, okay. I'm not. No, it's okay. We got Friends. We got what were someone you liked? Frasier, obviously.
Yes.
God, I'm trying to think like what was great in the 90s because John's probably more of like he could probably go deeper on the sitcom level.
I mean, now I'm just starting to draw a blank. But
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. All right, so were you?
I mean, Roseanne, but Roseanne was big.
Okay.
Roseanne was big. I had Roseanne on a DVD box set.
Nice.
Loved Roseanne.
Yeah.
What else? But of course now I was a big Will and Grace fan.
Ah, yes.
I don't know if you
okay.
guys watched Will and Grace.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
What else was good in the 90s?
So-
Was Cheers 90s? That was sort of the tail end of Cheers.
Yeah, it was like late eight. I would probably categorize it as a late 80s
Yeah.
one
Late
though,
80s.
more than a 90s. So did you
Married
like
with Children.
well, I'm curious. Did you like Friends? Is that
Yes, but with the caveat that it's sort of like I'll take a nap to this show,
okay?
comfort warm blanket, and not like I'm LOLing. if
So
that makes
so
sense.
you don't like it. I mean, you can be honest here. That is the worst thing I've ever heard. Like, hey, I like
If
this
you
thing.
say you don't like Friends or The Office, people will come for you. They will come
Oh,
for you.
wait,
Oh, The
wait
Office, there
a
you go.
minute. Wait
Okay.
a minute. We're drawing lines now.
I do like The Office. Those are not
Okay,
the same.
okay.
They're not in the same
Of course not, no.
categories. The Office seasons 1 and 2 I absolutely loved. And then after that, it's so uncomfortable that I can't relax. Like
I hear
I'm
you.
clenched.
Yeah.
But it's still funny. It's just
Right.
it's not a relaxing show for me. And TV for me is all about dissociating and not not being uncomfortable. I have to be like very zen while I'm watching television.
I hear you. Know, I 1 and 2 is perfect. I mean, it
Yeah.
is perfect. You know, and I watched it just start to finish during the pandemic, and I was just like, it was like experiencing it all over again. So
Yeah.
okay, so we're definitely putting Seinfeld. Like that's an automatic. It's like George Washington going on
Yeah.
there, and then you got to put Frasier on there, right? Since you love
Yeah.
it so much. Okay.
I do. And
What?
well,
Why?
these aren't
Why?
really
Wait.
sitcoms.
Why are you? You're like defending. Frasier was a great show.
It
It was
was.
like
Okay. I feel like a lot of people think Frasier sucks.
Who?
If
Who?
you guys like it.
no.
I haven't heard anybody really talk trash about
Yeah,
Frasier.
I want to meet these
Okay,
people.
okay.
I got words for these people. That's a great show. Okay, so I would just say if I was making my list, I think you probably got to put Roseanne on there just because I think we've talked about this before. It kind of changed the genre of sitcoms. But
Yeah.
in the chat, they're throwing it all out there. They're saying so Friends, Seinfeld, Cosby Show. Oh, you can't put that on there. News Radio.
Oh, News Radio was so good. I
was
forgot
good.
about News Radio.
Will and Grace. They mentioned 2 guys, a girl, and a pizza place. Wow, that's a deep one right there.
Whoa, that's a deep cut.
Yeah.
Nomar Garcia Parra did do a guest appearance on that show. I
Wow.
remember.
So
Yes.
you are a massive fan. Okay. Well, there you go. Okay,
So
so
embarrassing that I know that.
that's. I mean, come on. We've got much more embarrassing facts of that probably. Yeah, News Radio was a great show. I mean,
Yeah,
it
that was a great
fantastic.
show.
I mean, it was Joe Rogan when he was likable. That was like another lifetime ago, you know.
I forgot about that.
And he-
Oh, I used to love Just Shoot Me. I don't know if you guys
Oh,
ever watched
oh,
that.
yeah.
Yes, we love Just Shooting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Suddenly Susan. Also,
Yes.
all those like workplace comedies.
Yeah, there was
Um,
one that had Sarah Rue in it, and she was kind of chubby, I would say. I mean, I don't think she was
Yeah.
chubby, but I thought she was fantastic. And then she got like, I don't know if she got surgery or she lost a bunch of weight, and now she weighs like 100 pounds. I was like, I like the other Sarah Rue. I want her to come back. What was that show?
Was that Suddenly Susan? What show? I remember her.
I thought suddenly Susan. Maybe she was
Suddenly
on.
That might have
Susan
been
was
before her time.
Brooke Shields.
Yeah, Brooke Shields. Yeah, I can't
That's right.
remember with that Sarah Rue show, but it was really good. So
I remember that.
yeah. We're getting old. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought she was I did Sarah Rue when she started. I was like, this is one of the most beautiful women on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know, man. I think she just we talked about that conventional thing. I think she was probably just told lose more weight and get a,
Oh, sure.
like I'm sure she was looking at Friends, looking at, Jennifer Aniston and like, Hollywood, terrible. Okay. Anyway. All right. So let's we got to finalize the 4 here. So Seinfeld, Frasier, and then you do your 2. I don't want to mansplain your Mount Rushmore to you. That would be terrible.
I'm gonna go Will and Grace.
Okay.
And my last one, I'm gonna say News Radio.
Okay. There we go.
I'm gonna say News Radio.
Solid list. I like it a lot. Well, there we go. You got your Mount Rushmore after all. So there you go, John. Happy to know. And, we learned much about Kelly here. Okay, so let's start telling people what they need to do. I will let you talk about it. And then, of course, we're going to promote it all during the week and leading up to it. But how do they get a copy of the book? Where do they go to pre-order it? What do they need to do?
So you can pre-order it wherever you like to get your books. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, anywhere online. And it'll be available in stores July 19th. There's an audiobook version, Kindle version. And if you pre-order it now, you have 4 or 5 days left to pre-order. You get 5 free sample chapters, some director's cuts of some of my more popular videos. You get access to a book club that I'll be doing in August. And there might be something else free. I don't remember. But yeah, go ahead and pre-order it. And you can find me on social media at Kelly Bandas. And there's all the links are there too, if you didn't have a pen when I just said all that.
Right. But yes, Kelly Bandas will take you. I think the other thing was a chart on how to deal with uncomfortable situations.
Oh, yeah.
Thank
you for remembering. Okay. Yeah, it's how to basically take a shitty situation and find the humor in it.
There you go.
In a flowchart form.
I'm telling you, I liked all that stuff. I'm down for the PDFs. I loved it. I think it's,
all right, good.
That's why I'm trying to tell people, number one, anytime we have someone, we've had multiple people come on and promote books, and please go support like indie artists, local artists. It's very important to do so. And these are some of the best books I've read. Like the people that come on, you get to know them, you hear their story. And this, we haven't even talked about like say you'll get to experience the book, but you talk about there's a gerbil on the front of the book. So you talk about pets growing up, and that's one of the book club questions if people want to get involved with that. What was your pet growing up? How did you dress growing up? It's all kinds of it's a whole thing here. It's going to be a fun time. Now
it's fun. It's a lot of nostalgia. So if you like good 90s and early aughts nostalgia, you'll enjoy it.
Right. So you're speaking to our audience. So yes. So you should. And so, yes. And if you want to go buy a copy of it and then just carry it around with you. And if you ever see her in person, you can get it autographed and go, hey, I know you from TikTok. So it'd be like it's a double thing. And maybe she'll do a live video for you of the spot. Just pick it up. Okay. But they need to go how do they follow you on all your social media? What are all the...
I am at Kelly_Bandas pretty much anywhere. TikTok, I am at Kelly__Bandas because I am old and I started a TikTok account and then I got locked out of it and I don't know how to get back into it. So __ is my actual account. That's so embarrassing, but that's the world that we live in.
Usually I'm like, no, that's like, yeah, that is. But it's just getting old. I hear you.
Yep.
Yes, you can understand. It's fine. So, okay. Yeah. So people need to go follow her. Kelly, you've been fantastic. I think you're just a great human being. I've said that before. Just you as a mother, you as a human being, you as everything. I wish you a lot of success with the book, success in life. And once again, congratulations for just getting over everything and just your kind nature that you bring into the world. So.
Oh, you guys are so nice. Thank you for letting me come on. I hate that it took so long for this to happen, but I'm glad that we finally connected.
For sure. Yeah. And maybe one day we'll meet up in person and we'll see what happens. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, go pre-order the book, go do it today, go buy it. And maybe we might even give away, we might buy a few copies and give them away. We'll see what we do about it. But
thanks.
There you go, Kelly. Thank you so much. We will send everyone your way. John, you have anything you want to say to her? But we're not outroing the show. Did you have any questions that kind of stand out?
Not really. Too bad you worked for the Red Sox and not the Orioles.
There we go. Parting
fighting words.
Parting shots. All right, Kelly. Well, we'll let you go, and we will talk to you down the road.
All right. Thanks, guys, so much.
All right.
Talk soon.
Uh-huh.
Bye.
All right. So that was Kelly Bandas. That was fun, man. She's just a sweet soul, man. I mean, like I said, I've followed her on social media for a long time now, and like I said, that's the crazy thing about social media is like you follow a lot of people you don't necessarily like know, but you like get to know them. So you kind of know, you feel like you know them. It's just kind of a weird era in history we're in. Before, like, if you didn't know your neighbor, you just didn't know them. But now if you know them on social media, you can follow them like, hey, follow me on Facebook. And, like, you know everything about him. You never even talked to this dude, like.
It is very strange that that's the world we're living in. And it's like, it seems like it's a precursor to an episode of Black Mirror.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's getting to a point where pandemic era levels of just isolation, you feel you're connected to people.
I mean, there's going to be a time where there's a high percentage of people that get married, but they haven't met the person in person yet.
Could be 100%. All right. Before we get out of here, because we got just a few minutes, you said any notable deaths this way? I know Trump's first wife died earlier today. I don't know if that's, rest in peace, I guess. You lived hell on earth married to that guy. So, it's just been another week, John. It's been another week of the world falling apart. I guess we'll get more into it next. Anything going on with you that's worth mentioning?
No, not really.
I do want to give a funny thing. My kids they're starting to, they're playing musical instruments.
Better
Drums,
Call Saul's
guitar.
back.
Better Call Saul's back, which is good. Yeah, that's fantastic. I've not watched it yet, but I'm going to. We're watching Only Murderers in the Building. I'm trying to tell you, this show is the best. I stand by Martin Short is the greatest. He makes me laugh every scene he's in, bro. I mean, like the stuff he says in another timeline, that's me. Like, I'm just being real with you, man. But my kids are playing drums and guitar, and of this last week, man, I never thought this would have happened, but they have just they're learning all these Nirvana songs. And so today I'm working from home and I can just hear like Smells Like Teen Spirit, In Bloom, Come As You Are. I can just hear it like downstairs in the garage. I'm like, this is so cool. Like they're playing like The Clash, the Ramones. I'm like, and I've always played music for them, but I've never went like, you must like the Ramones, you must like Nirvana. And it's just kind of a cool thing, man, to kind of see that take place. So, all right. Well, Kelly Bandas, the book is Rookie Mistakes. Seriously, go get it. And we're definitely going to have a giveaway in the next couple of weeks. So it drops on the 19th. Go to kellybandas.com. Go to our website, bybpod.com. You hope you guys showed up and bought stuff on Prime Video. John, what do they need to do if they want to buy stuff from Amazon moving forward?
Go to bybpod.com first, and then click on our affiliate link. Then when you want to get that Kelly Bandas book, Rookie Mistakes, then you go there first and then order it from Amazon. We'll get a cut, and it'll help us with our fees and stuff to keep the show running.
It's a good idea, John. That is a good idea. Order that book and use our link, man. You help out both of us. So, yeah, you go to bybpod.com, all of our social media links there, all of our past episodes, all the good stuff on there. So that's it for now. With all that being said, John, is there anything else?
Don't blame yourself when you can blame your brother.
Woo.